Hi, everybody. Beth Pensavine here. And did you know that 70% of the people in the United States have had a traumatic event? It's true. Trauma is on the rise with COVID. And I have a Vicki here who is a alumni with Beachway who has been kind enough to share her story with us. She was with Beachway for the 30-day program about a year ago, but she's continued to stay with us in different groups and outpatient therapy. Vicki, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thanks, Beth, for having me.
So Vicki and I were chatting, and her story is a special one because not only has she been through Beachway, but also her husband and her daughter as well has been through the program. So she has really seen it from both sides. She's seen it as a client, but she's also seen it as a family member, and so she can really speak to both sides of it. But just to give you a little bit of a background on Vicki, she actually struggled with her mental health and trauma. She was not coming in for purely addiction, but coming in because of mental health. And the mental health was actually got to a point where it was physically hurting her. She was having pain. And Vicki, can you just shine a little bit about that, about what you were feeling before you entered Beachway and what kind of physical things were happening?
Absolutely. So before coming to Beachway, I was feeling just mentally exhausted. I thought I was going crazy. Like I really thought I was insane. I was going crazy. What's going on around me? Um, there was just so much chaos. It was just really toxic in my home environment. And physically, like probably a couple of months before that, I started to feel like pressure in my chest and just what's going on here. There's this pressure. Things are not right. But I didn't, it would come and it would go and it would come and it would go. Um, and then it became just really more constant. It was like constant butterflies in my stomach, constant knot in my stomach. And then it would get worse and worse as the days or the weeks went by, to the point of probably a week or so before coming to Beachway. I went to the hospital because I was sitting at work and I started to spin. I started to get dizzy. I started to get severe pressure in my chest, my hands and my arms. They were going numb, and I thought, what is going on? Like, am I having a heart attack? Seriously, had no idea what was happening. Um, and I enough that I was afraid. And so I did go to the hospital. All the tests came out fine. The EKGs, stress tests, all of those things, they came out okay. Um, and come to find out, it was anxiety and panic attacks, and that was just dealing with the everyday life. That was the chaos that was going on in my house.
So we talked a little bit about the chaos. You were saying that your secrets were making you sick. I think that really rings true with a lot of people who have experienced trauma. You have been dealing with something that you haven't been communicating, right? So you're internalizing it all yourself. And that can make you sick. It can make you anxious. It can make you depressed. These are all the things that you and I chatted about. And you got to the point where you wanted to feel better. You said enough is enough. And you'd been dealing it with for 18 years. Is that correct? Yes.
Yeah, at the point that coming into Beachway, 18 years. Yes.
So, can you talk a little bit about what in those 18 years, not, you don't have to go into major detail, but just so people out there know, what you've experienced, because I think it might ring true with a lot of people. A lot of the issues were family related. Can you give me a little bit more detail about that?
Yeah. So when I got married, from Beachway, 18 years prior to Beachway, I got married and went on my honeymoon, and things were great. But then quickly coming back, realized that there were some behaviors within my husband that I was seeing, and I'm going to backtrack, that I probably saw prior to getting married, but was not really aware. But these behaviors that came, and I learned early on that he was an addict. I didn't know that he was an addict when I married him. So I had already had my first child. We have a blended family, so my daughter was with us with him, and right from the and soon after that, his son came to live with us as well. So then we have this blended, and then I got pregnant. So all at the same time, we have a mine, his, and ours. Find out that for sure he's an addict, and from then on, I went into the lies, the secrets. Let's protect him. Let's protect this secret from from child to child to child. And the children learned, like the oldest one learned, don't tell the middle one. The middle one learned, we got to make sure we keep it a secret once they were old enough to figure it out. So lots of lies and lots of, not only just mostly within the house, but even on the outside, because it has to look like we have this nice happy home, and things are great, and everybody is wonderful when really we're not.
Well, I know that rings true with a lot of people, and a lot of people who have felt isolated over the last 2 years. Things may be coming out of the woodwork in the last 2 years, right? That maybe didn't show up because of all of the ability to hide, the ability to have all these secrets, right? But now, since we are, you know, been quarantining and things have been coming out of the woodwork, people might be feeling like, gosh, this is happening and I have to face it now, right? Because I've been spending 2 years in this family unit without a lot of distractions, without ways to kind of get around it and look the other way. So I find that really interesting that you were even able to do that for 18 years. I mean, that sounds exhausting.
um Sorry. For
Okay.
sure, it was exhausting, and I thank you for pointing that out, because I do believe that it's important. And right around the time that COVID hit is really when I can say everything sort of blew up in the house. And I do believe that's, we're all confined in an area together. And things got, everybody's lives got turned upside down. And so I think that's when it really got rough.
And I know you're not the only one. I know that's something that's happened across the board for a lot of people. I want to talk a little bit about your life now that you came out of Beachway, and we're also going to talk a little bit about your experience there. But I love that you put that your life now that you're actually there for your family, right? So when you were trying to control it and have all these secrets, you didn't feel there for them, even though that's what you were trying to accomplish, right? But now you actually do. I think that's remarkable. Um, I also love that you are making new, different friends because it sounds like you actually can take a breath and say, okay, my job and it is not just to manage what's happening here. I actually have my own life and I'm out making new friends. I think that's wonderful. Can you tell me anything else about what your life is now since you have been out of Beachway?
Yeah. So, um, very difficult all my life, and I can even went back to like childhood days, of people pleasing. And so, you know for 40 plus years, um the I was not I didn't know how to take care of myself. I didn't know, I couldn't even explain how I feel. Today, I can tell you how I feel. Today, I can take a bubble bath without feeling guilty, because somebody else needs me, or I need to like interject into their life. I can more say it. But, I it's easier for me today to keep the focus on myself and not feel guilty for it, and know that I deserve it, that nobody is going to take care of me except me. And that expectation that I thought I needed somebody else to to do that for me, um that was false.
I think there's a lot of moms out there that can resonate with that, right? That
Yeah.
a lot of moms feel that they can't take care of themselves because they have to take care of the ship, which I say the ship, I mean, the house, the
Hmm.
kids, the dog, the groceries, keeping everybody happy. It's a lot of things to juggle, right? And it's a lot of pressure, especially if you're dealing with trauma at the same time, for sure. Um, I love also how when we were chatting, told me how you are now communicating better, which is amazing, and that you're being more transparent and that you're being more vulnerable. So those are things that, I think when you have secrets and you're hiding are things that are very hard to learn. When you've been doing something for 18 years and now kind of changing gears into being more vulnerable. I mean, that is quite the transformation. Can you give us a peek behind the doors of what it's like at Beachway that was able to give you those tools?
Yeah. So first of all is they have you have your individual therapy session with a therapist, but the majority of a day at Beachway are groups, and where you're interacting with your peers. And they have different kinds of groups. They have women's groups, men's groups, um, over 30, under 30, things like that. And each group has a facilitator, and each facilitator brings something different. And so for me, going into the groups, the first week or so, it was hard to settle in. Again, like I said earlier, I had a really hard time communicating how I felt, because life had not been about me. I didn't know my feelings depended on somebody else, how somebody else was doing. Um, but to sit eventually and just talk about the things and have somebody relate and say, I understand. Just the more and more I was able to do that, the more and more I felt comfortable just opening up, because my goodness, there's this person, and while we may have different stories, it's they feel like they can relate to what I say. They know, like, they feel how I feel. And a lot of what I did in there, I shared definitely. I had assignments. We have homework assignments to dig really deep on what's going on. But I also listened a lot. So having younger, so I would, having my husband who was an addict, I was able to see stories from addict sides, that I was able to get aha moments of, oh my goodness, this is going on. And, this makes sense now to me. I was also able to just sit back and listen to the younger. I have young kids. I have, in the 20s, and a teenager. And I was able to, sit back, and I just absorbed so much of their stories that I was able to say, oh my goodness, I did that and I said that. And I took opportunities to ask them, what is it that you needed from your mom at that moment, in that time? And they would tell me what they wished their mom would have said, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I have to jot this down because I need to make amends. Do you know what I mean? Because there was just so much, and if you're willing and open and authentic, it's amazing.
I love that. So you not only got your own therapy, but help listening to others actually helped you as well. I think that
Absolutely.
I think that is amazing.
I
Um,
think that those, if you don't mind, I think that
yeah.
those are things that help me, even like listening to that helps me today
Mm.
to sit back and, maybe think before I speak. So those, just listening to other people and relating, was a life changer.
Well, what I love about also what you're doing is that even though you were there for 30 days about a year ago, you for a year after approximately were in some sort of outpatient therapy, which was either in groups, weekly Zooms. They guided you also to get your own sponsor. So those are things that continued on even past it. So it's something where people, another misconception that people have sometimes about treatment is that you leave, but there is a whole outpatient therapy for all of the alumni and clients that come through that really is a huge part of your wellness, correct?
Absolutely. Coming out of, where you're in there and we're inside Beachway, which is wonderful. You're safe. You're with people, that relate. And when you come or when I came out, it's life is still there. Life is still going on and life is still there. So the aftercare, I think, is just as, if not more important than whatever amount of time that you're in there. um, because life went on, and those issues that you had when you went in are still there when you come out. You just to learn the tools on how to deal with that, um, is what is needed when you come out. When you're there, you learn it, but you have to put them in place when you get there. I mean, when you come back out.
Absolutely. So if you, just as we wrap up, if anybody is out here listening, um, what would you tell them if they're on the fence about whether it's the right move to go get help? What would you tell them about getting treatment somewhere?
I would say that getting treatment somewhere is it's extremely important. It's life changing. It takes a lot of courage and strength to do it. And just go out on a limb and do it. You will be really, really happy that you did. You be able to learn. I was able to learn so many things and connect so many dots. And I think that you deserve it. Like, everybody deserves a chance for peace and serenity. So just go take a leap of faith and go for it.
I love that. Everybody deserves a chance for peace and serenity. Well, thank you so much, Vicki, for taking the time to share that with us. We really appreciate it and we wish you well.
Thank you.